Hi, I'm Andrew Bell from the Ray White Bell Group. I've been in the industry some 50 plus years and met some of the most amazing people. And I've always been fascinated by their journeys. People who started with nothing and created something. People who've faced some of the biggest setbacks and taken the biggest risks. And I've always wanted to know more about their defining decisions, what made shape them to be who they are. I created the Andrew Bell Conversation because I've always believed that the most powerful stories are the ones that people rarely tell publicly. Beyond success, titles, headlines are the moments that truly shape a person. The pressure, the setbacks, the risks, and the defining decisions. Hope you enjoy this month's episode, and don't forget to subscribe to future conversations. Brian White, what a thrill this is for me. We go back a long way.
Sure.
And obviously your connection with Ray White's family, my connection to Ray White has been one of the franchisees, yet I hold the same love for the company that you have. So today what I was wanting to do was to try and understand the company, Ray White, but also understand you.
Oh.
Because you played such a prominent role in its growth, from really a one office operation to now the largest real estate company in Australasia. Extraordinary. And so I want to get the story behind Brian so we understand, because the purpose of these discussions that I have with great leaders is trying to understand what drives them, what makes them who they are. So go with me on the journey. We'll see how we go.
Let's go.
I thought first of all we might just set it up about
like taking off for Mars.
Yes, not sure what's going to happen. So I want to go back to Ray himself, but even before that, I understand that there was a member of the White family, it was on the First Fleet, came over in 1788 on HMS Cyrus.
That's true.
So the White family roots go back to the First Fleet.
First start, yeah.
Wow. There's not many families could say that in Australia. And pleasingly, he was not a prisoner. He was a corporal in the armed forces. So you've come from good breeding, clearly. So the origins was that beyond that, your family were in Hobart way back in 1878. And you were Ray was a member of one of four in the family. He had a couple of brothers and one sister. Testing your memory. And then there was a move from Hobart all the way up to Queensland because your great-grandfather's brother had a haberdashery type business, and he fell ill, and he wanted your great-grandfather to carry the business on.
One of my grandfather.
Your grandfather? No, your Ray's father.
Yes.
So he wanted him to come up and take on the business. So the family moved up, but your great-grandfather was a teetotaling Methodist.
Apparently.
Yes, it's changed in the family, I know. He was a real, very committed, and he decided he would not sell the alcohol that was being sold through the business because it was just against his faith, yet it was the most profitable part of the business. Yeah. And before you know it, he had to sell the business. He'd gone belly up. So your father then, or did your family then move to Crowsnest then, or after Ray opened up the shed?
The family started to move back to Brisbane, and Ray decided he'd stay in
Crowsnest.
In Crowsnest.
Right. And he found this little shed, and he thought, it was the entrepreneur in him, went, well, I'm just going to try and sell anything I can.
Precisely.
So he became an insurance agent, he was selling farm equipment, and there was livestock, and then it was a bit of real estate, cars, whatever. He just sold a lot. And we got a picture, of course, of that shed that still remains close to your heart, doesn't it? You track that shed down.
I stare at it so often.
You stare at it so often?
Well, of course. You know, I don't stare at it for, you know, I glance, you know,
Yeah, I know what
it's
you
in my
mean.
home and key part of the whole sort of mood of my home, yeah.
And so he started in this shed, and part of selling all this stuff is he started to do some auctions.
Yeah,
Where did he get the idea of an auction from? Was that commonplace back then?
can't imagine it.
No.
But it was incredible how the word auctioneer was just under his name. It wasn't as if it was a sort of the fourth or fifth name mentioned. It was almost the first name on his shed, auctioneer.
So yeah, he wasn't kind of known as the insurance agent or the property agent. It was the auctioneer.
Almost, we auctioned pigs, and so he had a lot of that sort of constant auctioneering activity. Even me talking about just an animal like a pig.
Did you ever see the shed in its original place? No, you never saw it. But you tracked it down years later.
When our centenary was approaching, where is the shed? Because the shed had all gone. And we put ads in the paper, anyone seen this shed? And extraordinarily, a guy rang and said, I think I might have something you'd be interested in, because I can still see the very faded paint. It was by then, the word Ray White. So we raced out, of course, and my God, it's the shed. So we brought the shed back to Crow's Nest into an extraordinary historical village that they've created, and had it sort of repainted and as best we could.
And it's a historic home, and so often you are holding Ray White functions now
Well, we have,
at
yeah.
the shed.
We don't do it as much as we used to because the company's so broad
Big.
and so forth. And you have something at the shed now, it's sort of overwhelmed.
So that's where he started.
Yep.
Now he married somewhere on the road here, and he had 4 children.
Yep.
There was Max, Alan, which is your father, Marjorie, and Joyce, and they were all originally born and bred in Crow's Nest. And the business was a highly successful business, but as they got a little bit further advanced in life, is it correct that Ray went, I've got to give them a better education?
Precisely. That's the legend that we know it. Because I wasn't born then, my father was only a child. So this is the story that's been handed down as to why he then said, let's move to Brisbane. And what a gutsy decision that was.
Absolutely, because he had a successful business.
Yeah.
And you just had to, what, did he just close it down? And
Just closed it down, walked out, closed the door, and let's go Brisbane.
And if I remember right, he opened up the Colonial Mutual Building in Queen Street in Brisbane, because his thought process was, got to be somewhere prominent.
Yeah.
And was it next to the GPO or something, wasn't
Well,
it?
it became next. Yes, it became next, and that is a great advertising slogan. Next GPO, everything. In those days, the General Post Office was the centre of everything.
Yeah.
Not so much, no more than today, of course. That's all gone.
Yeah,
But
hard to
then
find
it
a
was
stamp.
critical. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember my early days of careers, real estate office's success was so dependent on the location of your office. You wanted a high profile office.
Yeah.
So he identified that, made the gutsy move to Brisbane and started that office. And so over the next period of time, he built company-owned offices, didn't he?
No, they only had the one office.
He had the one office.
Yes.
So the expansion happened when Alan came on board,
Well, yeah,
and then Brian. But we'll go Alan first,
yeah.
your dad.
Yes.
So he was the person who really taught you about real estate.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. I was only a youngster, and probably my first real memory was the drama inside my family when Alan came home, when Dad came home and said, and announced to my mother and my brother and I, and said that LJ Hooker had come to town, or someone representing LJ Hooker, and said, we want to buy you because we're going to expand into Queensland and we want an office in Brisbane and you would be the office. And the tension in the family was incredible. I can still remember that tension after all these years. What's going to happen? Then eventually my father stood up and made a decision and said, I've decided not to sell. By this time, my grandfather had completely gone out of the business and is now owned by my father and his brother, because women didn't work in real estate in those days. And I've decided not to sell. We'll hang on for as long as we can.
Almost sounding like it's inevitable that we won't survive,
Yes.
but I'll hang on as long as I can.
I'm not going to sell, because I think hookers had made the mistake of saying, if you don't sell, we're coming anyway and we'll drive you out of town. As against saying, just imagine the fantastic business we could create together. And I always I've thought of that very strongly as the reason why that influenced my father so strongly. It was sort of the threat that, you know, if you don't do this, you're out. How dare you talk about that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
How old would you have been around that time?
Oh, teenager.
Tino, had you been working in the office, or were you committed to your schooling at that stage?
Oh, God, yeah.
You're pretty good at school, weren't you? Don't be modest.
Well, I've made a number of great friends when I was at school.
I'm talking about
got a
your
reasonably
friendship
good
scholastically.
I got a reasonably good score for that.
And you became a surfer?
Well, not for some time afterwards.
And you played the piano?
Yep.
You're pretty accomplished, you're all around. And your long love of art, had that surface, or is that?
No, well, everyone talked art because you needed art in offices as well as in your home, and Brisbane became an exciting city. It was involved in a lot of different things, and it was very close to the beaches as well.
Yeah. So, Alan, your father, had children.
Yeah.
You're the eldest, and then Paul.
Yep.
We got any more hiding in the closet?
He had, when my mother died, he remarried later on, and I have two half brother and half sister.
From there, yeah. So, your whole upbringing was around real estate. I understand. I've seen pictures of you penciling or picking bids at auctions, and you look like you're about 10.
Well, every weekend, my brother and I used to go to support my father when he did auctions. They had to have people running to take sales messages through and so forth, put up sold by signs and so forth. So, yeah, weekends were sort of quite action driven.
Yeah.
And I remember those days now quite clearly.
Was it inevitable that you would go into real estate?
I would never have gone into real estate if it hadn't been a family business. When I finished my schooling, a lot of my friends went to university and did medicine, finance, accounting, commerce, and then went into those different areas. But I guess I was always going to give it a go.
And you went to uni?
Oh yeah.
And what degree did you do?
I did an economics degree.
Economics degree. And it was also when you met Rosemary, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, eventually, yeah.
So you finished uni and it was straight into real estate?
Yep.
And you worked in one of the offices?
Well, the office.
The office. There's only one office, that's correct. So your role was, I understand, property management?
I was involved in everything, doing leasing in the city. It was that sort of, just one office. I was involved in everything that was sort of happening. And my father encouraged me to become an auctioneer, which was a pretty daunting experience doing your first auction. How nervous you can become.
Oh, I remember well.
You know too. But I was involved in broad sort of, in everything that was sort of happening. You know, realised this was going to be I had become committed then to the company.
So your dad was sort of running the office and
Yeah.
you were working in the
right.
office. So how did Alan influence you? Because you've gone on, obviously from there, you took the baton, which we'll come to shortly. You took the baton. Why was he such a big influence to you? What was it?
Well, we would talk sort of every morning about what was happening, and he would introduce me to people who may have some real estate requirement, and then I'd maybe make a joint presentation with my father to secure that opportunity, and so on and so forth. So I worked closely with my dad.
Did you love that?
I guess so. Yeah, he was a very active worker, and was never passed an opportunity to give an opinion which might assist me to get better.
So give you a regular prod, did he?
Yeah, definitely.
So then you went through this period of time where we had to stare down hookers. So how did that change the company? So you went from, like, we're under threat here.
Well, yes, hookers were starting to open offices in Brisbane, and that was that became one of our chief competitors quite quickly. There were a lot of local names that were still very active. I've got no idea what our market share would have been at that stage, but there were a group of businesses, all very similar. And then hookers started to open a couple of extra offices, which was, oh my God, they're opening more offices, which we always assumed they would, and they started doing that.
So is that what triggered the decision to go from just a single Ray White office to multiple offices? I think you were instrumental in that.
I was keen for that, yeah. Dad, we've got to do that. We've got to open additional offices, and we started doing that first.
That was to counter the hooker expansion?
Yeah. And it was also growth, the excitement of seeing your business getting stronger. There was a mixture. It wasn't just we're growing because I was worried if we didn't. For us to stay as we were had no future.
Yeah, so partly defensive,
Yeah.
but also you saw the opportunity on expansion.
Precisely.
And so this was pretty rapid. It must have taken a lot of dollars opening up offices after offices. Was that something that required a lot of planning?
Well, it required a lot of discussion. We fortunately had some very good salespeople who were keen to see this happen, and they became the managers of those particular businesses.
Yeah. And were you more the driver of that? Did your father sort of say, "Oh, well, you do that bit"?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So you were really starting to get active in the business by that stage.
Oh God, yeah.
So the business had expanded, and I think it was to something like 15 offices.
We started to open additional. Yeah, it kept going till we got to probably. They're all in Brisbane, sort of around about 10 to 12 or so. Then the question was opening the Gold Coast. Yes, we had to do that. So yes, we were continuing to grow.
And this is moving through, I guess, the 60s and 70s?
Oh yes, 1 hour into the early 70s, etc.
So then,
60s, yeah.
So there was then a point where there was this decision to franchise.
No.
No?
Not at this stage.
Not at that stage. When did your decision to go franchising occur?
The decision to go franchising occurred when some of our very good managers were exhibiting their ambition to grow personally. I'm running a good business, I want to be part of it. And it was clear that if we didn't come to an arrangement to bring them in as business owners, then
you'd lose them.
Yeah. And eventually they came in shared equity before we actually went the franchising route. So
then there was a period of time where you had to make a decision about going national.
Oh, it's still a long way to go.
Still a long way. So what was the phase in between that stage where you started doing some franchising and the decision to go national? Was that expansion right through Queensland?
We hadn't expanded. We'd expanded on the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast, and we were sort of contemplating going further north. We had an office started in Townsville. But the biggest thing was a guy called Don May was one of our fantastic salespeople in Brisbane. And he came to me and he said, "Brian, I'm sorry to have to say this to you, but I'm leaving. I have to go to LJ Hooker. What? You don't realise, Brian, that when I go and do a listing, and LJ Hooker have also been invited to do a listing, when they come in to see the vendor, they say, oh, by the way, if you give the listing to us, we'll be getting all the southern inquiry. And southerners pay more for property up here than locals do. He said, I'm sorry, I'm losing every listing now. And I'm going. God, that was traumatic. Sleepless nights. What the hell do we do? And eventually I came to the conclusion, well then my mother had passed away.
Right.
And my father had retired from the business. He wanted to do something else.
We'll come back to that one.
Yeah. And it was suddenly realised that if I didn't have a go, we would fail. If I had a go, we could probably fail, but we might win. But we certainly we would lose if we didn't have a go. Like a negative, positive approach.
That one I was definitely going to lose.
Yeah.
This I had a chance.
Yeah.
So just back to your dad on that particular one.
Yeah.
I've heard the story, but share it with us. The classic handover ceremony that he gave you, saying that, you know, I'm retiring. Well,
Called me in. My mother had died, and she'd been sick for. It was a very sad sort of story. And he called me and he said, Brian, I want to do something else. I have to do something else. He had the only decent sort of office within the office. All the rest were just all open spaces. And he said, I've got my bag here packed. I've packed all my stuff up here. I'm handing it over to you now. Good luck. He shook my hand and walked out. He turned around and came back and said, oh, be a good leader, and walked out again. I didn't have what's a leader? What's the difference between a manager and a leader? Wow.
how profound was that for you?
That was just a leader, because I was never a leader. I had wonderful friends, but I wasn't a leader. You know, you sort of some little groups of friends, and there was a leader, and he'd sort of work out, this is where we're going to have lunch today, or this is what we're going to do this weekend, or this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I was never that person, but there were no, you know, we'd sort of talk about, oh, here's an idea, oh yeah, we'll do that sort of stuff. But a leader was the guy who said, this is what I want, and we'll do that. Oh my God, I've got to be a leader. And that was a very dramatic period.
How did you, what did you do with that? How did you decide to develop yourself?
I began to understand, I used to think about this all the time. I read books on leadership and management. I had a library of them. I used to read them all, and they didn't sort of mean anything. You know, you just work hard, do this, do that, be a good manager, be a good leader, that sort of stuff. They didn't actually talk very much about it. But I then began to understand that a leader needs to know what he wants. You can't be a leader without knowing what you want. And I knew that I wanted this company to go well. And I guess my language probably changed, or my attitude changed, or the way what have we got to do for this company to be stronger? And basically underneath it, that's where leadership emerges, where you feel so strongly about it that there's no, when it doesn't happen, you sort of say, I'm unhappy,
yes.
This is not good, I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
Whereas a manager might say, well, oh, that didn't work out, but you know, let's keep going, sort of stuff.
Live with the status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So away we went, and because I'd kept in close contact with the Americans, and the Americans had kept in sort of contact, C21 had approached us, ERA had approached us as well, and they'd started in Australia and had some offices. They started with a local entrepreneur, and that was going you can imagine there was no structure or just the name. Oh, we're American.
Yeah, so it's such a distance apart. They'd never be able to support properly.
That's right, and so I was able to communicate with them, and in such a way I was able to arrange to acquire the ERA businesses that were ERA had not come to Queensland, and suddenly there was a little group of officers that were ERA, and I encouraged them and met with them and said, would I love you to be ERA Ray White? And the good thing about it is you've got a really great business up in Queensland, because we were a good business.
Yeah, you were market leaders. Yeah.
And we got, I want to expand. I suppose I spoke like a leader. I want this to be the best business in Australia. I want it. It means I've got to have it. Without it, I'm completely unhappy. Rather than, oh, that's too bad, I'll go do something else. And I talked to our Queensland people. By then, the officer we had said, I'd love you to add the name ERA to the name, to your name, so it'll be ERA Ray White Caulfield or what. The good thing about it is that we've got a new southern presence that you'll be able to sort of speak about it. That took a lot of, don't like that very much, but we got it through, and away we went. And I made this thing, I was talking about my father. I said to my father, I knew what his attitude would have been. I said, Dad, we're opening some offices in Sydney. Would you like to come to the opening, renaming the opening? What? We're opening in Sydney? Yeah, we've got a couple coming in. How come we never talked about that first? He said, Dad, you would have said no. Of course I would have said no. It's a stupid idea. But he came along, and he became part of the journey for us to be able to take the name right across Australia as ERA and Ray White. And then we made the decision, we don't need that ERA, do we? No. That dropped off. And so here we are.
So that was a quantum leap, wasn't it? Instead of drip feeding and trying to find one principal and then find another one, you all of a sudden had 30, 40 offices in New South Wales, maybe 20 or so in Victoria. So that was a quantum leap. And would you say that was really the most profound part for you guys? That's when the real acceleration of Ray White's growth occurred?
Oh, that was critical. We had good stories. We were able to have confident people came together, instead of coming together and saying, I'm unhappy with this, unhappy with that. People sort of got the idea with the vision. You guys came on board through the ERA system. How good was that? I remember you saying, I just so keen to be the #1 office in the Ray White network. I don't know, how can I do that when you've got offices at sort of Double Bay and those, Andrew, Gold Coast might suit you. And what you did on the Gold Coast was breathtaking.
So let's go back to the story. So Ray White then expanded rapidly. It was like the 1990s, it was the flavour of the month. Like it was going from trying to convince people to be, join us to, well, everyone wants to join us. It was phenomenal growth. Bruce Ingray was very much involved in that growth. But then you started to branch a bit and loan market. But how did that come about?
Well, it came about because hookers were always like a shadow across us. And suddenly the announcement was made, Suncorp has bought LJ Hooker. Suncorp, of course, being a big insurance company.
Yeah.
And the comment was, we're going to give hookers a unique advantage that we'll be able to arrange finance for their buyers through the office itself. Imagine, Mr. Bendor, you have a buyer who's subject to finance, and we're going to make sure they get that finance. God, you've got a list with us. Oh my God, here we go again. And away we went.
And now Loan Market is the largest provider of finance for real estate in the country. What an incredible story that is. You also started to open...
my son Sam, of course.
Of Sam, I was going to touch on Sam too very shortly. So you started to diversify, and now I know that you have 3 sons. Sam, who took that course to drive loan market. You've got Dan, who is our CEO of the Ray White Group, and then you've got Ben, who went into technology. So all 3 of these sons of yours have been highly successful. And we'll touch on that in a few minutes as well. But it gave you this chance to even consider more diversification. I think today, you've got Ray White Hotels, probably the leading broker in the country for hotels. We broke into Ray White Marine, multiple offices around the country, and probably the biggest brand certainly in marine. You allowed my brother Greg and I to open an office in Guangzhou, China. We started up a business in Atlanta, USA. And so you encouraged and supported people with their ambitions, which helped grow the company. Multiple offices then occurred where one principal would take on 3, 4, 5 offices. Is this the nature now of Ray White? Is this encouragement of ambition amongst the leaders?
Well, I say the greatest ambition, the greatest asset we have is in the ambition of our business owners. And we've absorbed that philosophy for some time now. And when business owners express an ambition, we try to support it if we possibly can. Even going to China and Atlanta. And it's fantastic.
So on this growth path, you and I have spoken over the years, there were nights that you did not want to disturb Rosemary.
Oh, yeah.
And so you get the family dog and you walked around the streets at 2 and 3 in the morning, stewing over major decisions that had to be made. How many of those would you have said there were? Major decisions that kept you awake at night?
Well, the biggest was, of course, whether to have a go at becoming national. That was by far the dominating thought in my brain. It just realised, Brian, if you don't have a go, you're not going to get any. You can't get anywhere. If I have a go, how do I do it? I didn't have the asset. I couldn't go and buy anything. It wasn't like Suncorp you can buy.
Yeah.
But we've got to start from the bottom and grow up. But I've got to have a go. And a lot of decisions since then have, as a family business, one of the great moments I've had in recent times, or for probably any time, was seeing my 3 sons in a coffee lounge. I walked past, my 3 boys are having a cup of coffee and their hands were going, and I sort of saying, you could see, if I did this, would that help you? And how about if you did this, that'd be good, really good too. And the 3 of them were talking like that. I thought, how brilliant is that? And to be a 4th family business, 4th generation family business, still owned as a family.
Yeah.
And still getting stronger. Our market share keeps creeping up all the time. It's just fantastic, Andrew.
Brian, how integral to the success of an organisation is courage?
I think that's up to you to work that out. When you want something really badly, courage sort of seems to tick along behind you.
I think about Ray White.
If you don't really want something, the courage doesn't sort of pop up.
Well, I think about the journey of Ray White. It's been through 2 world wars, Great Depression, God knows how many recessions we've been through, global financial crises and pandemics and so on. It's an incredibly resilient company.
Yeah.
What do you put that down to? Leadership?
Well, you need to make that opinion. All I know is I've been blessed, and some good things we've done. Resisted going public. I've had got no idea how many approaches I've had from financiers saying, you know, here's a good opportunity for us to go, we get a good cut of the community, like selling a property almost. How many of those approaches have eased away sort of recent times in, you know, the last few decades, etc. But it's just such, it's difficult to describe, Andrew. I feel very blessed.
How do you describe the culture of Ray White?
I think I need to leave that to others to
I'm not talking about you personally, as a company, because it's now made up by a lot of parts, and
Yeah.
it's made up, it's now under the leadership of your son, Dan.
Yeah.
So, your observation of the culture that has developed within Ray White, how do you describe it?
I think probably the best way to describe the culture is that people are aware that the people who are, say, the leaders or the owners of Ray White truly cherish this business. This is not in the business that's, I own it because I'm getting a good investment return. Of course, we've had a good lifestyle. Has it been, could we have made more money by not doing certain things? Well, you know, obviously. But we all had a wonderful lifestyle, and that continues. So, we, you know, and it just, I think I get really absorbed by this sort of family business issue.
Yeah.
Nothing be worse than me as the chairman of the cup, or as the sort of the, as you know, Carey Smith's now got a key
joint
involvement
chairman,
in this. Nothing would be worse than me going to Dan and saying, Dan, what's wrong with that? I want this done. I want that done. I want that because I'm the chairman. I want that done. That would be a disaster. Because it's Dan's job to do this now. Dan's got that opportunity, and I support him. You know, and the boys totally in this sort of thing, because it's their turn. When it's your turn, you've got to get out. And don't sort of leave yourself in there sort of saying, well, I'm the chairman, I know what I do. And you see this happening elsewhere, and it's just so damaging. We're almost like a first generation company now.
Before I ask a little bit more about the four generations, how important has the auction commitment, the auction, absolute belief in auctions, how important has that been to Ray White's success?
Absolutely vital. One of the things I'm really thrilled I've done or was able to do was to get the competition creators
trademarked,
promoted, registered in every state in Australia. And fabulous, I hear a lot of our salespeople sort of talk about how they use that just so often. And this is our name. We're called the competition creators. I had to prove that this was appropriate in each state of Australia. And the way it all came together, and it's so true, isn't it? Competition. If you can create competition, great things happen to the price, Mr. Vendor.
I mean, I know it's the backbone of our business,
Yeah,
but I love the fact it goes back to Ray himself and the pig, selling the pigs and real estate.
And Alan, of course, who did so many auctions. He was the chief auctioneer right through his career.
So let's just touch on four generations, because you were invited to speak in Monaco, if I remember right, about fourth generation business, because they're almost unheard of.
Yes.
Why? What is this some magic in the White family, or is there what has made four generations turn up with great leaders that have all taken the baton and taken it to the next level?
The key thing is for the third generation to get out of the way. And I know Ray didn't do that with Alan. Ray used to ring every night when I was at home. Still a kid, he'd ring it sort of my mother used to say, oh my God, here he is again. Ray wanted to know about what happened to that buyer, what happened to this buyer, what happened to that buyer. This is when he was out of the business by then. And you know, I'm still in charge even though I don't work there anymore type attitude. That's so disastrous for family businesses. But of course then you may well do that and find that your sons or your daughters
Suffocate.
aren't equipped ready to take on that as well.
Yeah.
We, you know, it's wonderful. All my boys, you know, been to Harvard. You know, making sure they had good broad education and skills. It's fantastic.
So what's the future for Ray White?
You got to ask Dan and the boys that.
You haven't got an inkling? How do you see the industry going?
Well, who knows? Is there going to be another downturn coming forward? I say one of our great mottos is Ray White, sales best and light wins. When things get tough, people sort of take more care who they choose as an agent. And we've generally seen our market share improve, even though our sales may drop. But if you could predict what was going to happen each and every month, that would be a disaster for our industry. In fact, no one knows. We create every time. How we know, you know, we all know a property, think this property might sell for, what, say 2 million. And find out the best price we can get for it after doing all sorts of things is 1.7, 1.8. And then we find, oops, something else might, someone's happy to, because he wanted it so badly, he'll pay 2.5 million because someone else is prepared to pay 2.4.
Yeah.
That's fantastic for us as an industry.
It brings a certain type of person. You've got to be a certain type of person for real estate. And I think to myself, these people who've bought businesses and they sign contracts like a shipbuilder. You go, oh, I got ships. I'm right for 3 years. I got all these forward orders. We have no forward orders. Every day I'm chasing new business. I'm chasing new business, which creates this incredible entrepreneurship in us. And you've either got it or you haven't.
Yeah.
And so I can sense that in you. It was like every day is like, okay, what's the next challenge? And you thrived on it. And obviously it was your DNA. And I think it's passed through. And when I asked about the White family, I hear it in Ray. Well, like, I don't know. I'm going to open that shed and I'll sell whatever I can sell. I'll just make it happen. And then, you know, Alan takes over and Alan did his part. And the growth under your term has been extraordinary. And then there's Dan. You know, he's over, as we speak, he's over in the US doing some research over there on, you know, latest trends and so on. I mean, it's a company that's just insatiable desire to grow and develop and be better, never resting on its laurels. So a couple of questions in relation to Brian, because we're running out of our time here. And you maybe have given us some insights into this. You know, you've managed this from your father with one office into, you know, broader company offices, and then into franchising, and then go nationally and internationally. And then we're broken into loan markets and all sorts of other operations. What drives Brian White? What gets you out of bed in the morning and has this hunger?
Just for the love of the company. That doesn't happen now, of course, that's Dan, but until the point where Dan took over, it was, what else can happen today? What else can we do? What do we need to do? What are the opportunities? And never eased or abated in any shape or form.
So you had that drive, that passion, but you've also had a successful life. You've got a wonderful marriage. How many years is it now?
Getting 60 years.
60 years. You've brought 3 wonderful boys into the world. You've got a glorious boat that you have so many happy memories. You're a great surfer, and you only gave it up recently. You're accomplished in so many ways. How did you get this balance in an industry, a business in particular, that could have taken every waking moment of your time? How important was it to have the balance?
Great question, Andrew. I mean, I'm the worst person to try to answer that. I've just been, I'd say, blessed with some wonderful opportunities, which, you know, I don't know, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I think it's a blessing. I've been blessed with some wonderful opportunities, which, you know, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I think it's a blessing. I've just been, I'd say, blessed with some wonderful opportunities, which I'm proud that I've had a go at doing something with. And the support of someone like yourself, for example, you coming and saying, I wanted... Imagine if I had said to you, Andrew, when you said, I want to be the best business in this company, what have I got to do to make it? Instead of me saying, Andrew, just be satisfied with what you're doing okay. And it was, my God, what can we do? What Andrew wants to, this, blah, blah, blah. That was the idea. The idea to go to Surfers Paradise, I think, came from me, didn't it?
Yes.
And then what you went up, yes, my God, Surfers Paradise, what's this all about? I haven't ever seen surf before. And then you got in there and then away you believed in the auction process so beautifully. Some of your competitors up there, oh my God, you'll knock this guy over. Look what you did to the market, sensational. And what you've created and continued to create, wonderful.
So you've mixed with some of Australia's leading business people, Jack Cowan, you know them all. Who are the people who've had a big influence in your life?
Certainly the business, Boris Grossberg from Harvard.
Yep.
In terms of business and so forth, couldn't surpass him. God, he's been breathtaking. And, we bring him out here ourselves.
Every year, yeah.
Oh. Boris, if you're watching this, I've got a photograph of Boris and I sort of hand on each shoulder, etc.
Oh, no.
That's one there.
Yeah.
So he in my world of business, he's the complete standout.
Any others that stand out in your mind?
Oh God, yeah. Jack Cowan, the whole sort of group of that whole YPO movement, which gave him the ability to get to Harvard. How good that has been, and I can't thank them enough.
You've had an ability to attract great people to the company. I touched on Bruce Ingery, Mark McLeod. You've now got Kerry Smith as a co-chairperson. Has that been critical to seek out and bring in great talent?
Fundamental. I remember Mark McLeod had been with us and became an independent consultant. And I went and listened to him one day. I thought, people were saying and I went to listen to Mark. I said, I've got to have that man in my company. That man will do things I could never, ever do myself. And he came on board, as you know, as CEO for Growth.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mark. We still see him, he's still active, creative, the work he's done on Nurture Cloud and so forth, just breathtaking.
Brian, if Ray could come in this room for a day, what would, you think he, walking around that shed that didn't even have carpet, it was just timber floors, walking around that shed, he would never have had an inkling. But if he had the opportunity of stepping into this place now, what would he say to you?
What have you done? What have you done to my shed? I have no idea, obviously. But for him to see his name held in such high regard, and that's another thing I love. Different places I go to and people come and say, I just want you to know I just bought my house or sold my house through one of your people, etc. And gee, they did a good job. So rarely do I hear anything to the opposite. And to have his name recognised, I think this is, the business community would say that it has a fantastic reputation.
How important, was that a conscious thing in your journey to go, I've got this responsibility to Ray?
No, I think I've got a responsibility to, not the memory of Ray, certainly, yes, the memory, which is a bit similar to what you're asking.
Yeah. So I want to touch, we'll close, because been an important opportunity for me. I met you in 1983 when you bought Ray White, or you bought ERA to join Ray White. And I remember vividly you and Paul coming to a meeting in, I think it was North Shore area. And we didn't know what it was about. It was Bob Pennington telling us that ERA had been sold to Ray White. And we're going, who's Ray White? We're New South Welshmen. I was in Sydney. And you two guys spoke. And Greg and I walked out and went, well, we're not joining. It's a freaking Queensland company. They're cowboys up there, like the White Shoe Brigade. Like, no way in the world are we joining you lot. But, you know, fortunately we spent time, you guys spent time with us, and we went, okay. I'm not going to say there was no other good alternative, but we went with it. And that's been the commencement of a wonderful journey for me, both under the brand, but the connection I've had with you over the years. And, we've had some tussles. I remember one time you had this conference in Noosa, and you had this, I can't think of his name now, a guy was, hypothetical, was he was a barrister from England, and you got him out because you wanted to bring up some controversial stuff. Because we moved to Queensland, I said, I don't believe in conjunctions. I don't believe we should have to conjunct every property with another rate of house. I don't believe that we should be able to, that we list a property 3 suburbs away and we have to hand the listing over to another railway of it. So, and you went, all right, I'll give it to him. So you had this guy that came along and I was absolutely drilled. I'll never forget it. And I saw Brian White in the corner. I thought, oh, he's just deferred all this to this bloke. And I went, yeah, bloody Brian White, you know. But it was a turning point for me because I had to stand up for and really speak about the things I believed in. And then I remember when you came into the boardroom, we had a big boardroom meeting of all the officers, and you said, Remax is in town, we're going to change our model. And you talked about the new model. I'm going, no way in the world. No, our business is going fine. We're not. And so we had plenty of tussles. But I said something to John Howard when I interviewed him recently, and I thanked him because under his leadership for our country, so many of Australians feel safe in his hands. Yeah. And I say the same to you, Brian, that under your leadership, so many of your franchisees and so many of your staff have felt safe with your decisions. And I think that's what's made this company so remarkable. And I know it's in good hands with Dan and going forward. But your phenomenal growth was something that carried our business as well. Your decisions inspired Greg and I in the things that we wanted to do, and you supported us along that way. And so you've made a big difference to our industry, beyond question. You've affected many people's lives. And Brian White, you should be extremely proud of what you've done. Thank you.
I'm a very lucky guy, aren't I?